Thanks so much for making the time to.
Oh, you kidding? My honor to be here.
Finally made it.
Yeah, yeah.
Impromptu by Kevin. Say, what are you gonna do with Steve for the podcast? When are you gonna get up there and do it?
I always wanted to know what was up here. Now I know. I always see these mysterious stairs coming up from the Muay Thai room. Like, what's up there?
You got the Twinjas watching.
Yeah, enjoying their acai.
Yeah. I was looking you up. I was like, okay, let me look up Steven, and again, I know you were the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
Does it? Which one?
Donatello.
Yeah. And you're like, well, there's like a Mortal Kombat came up and all these different things, and then started reading about your some of your competition experience and how you came up and stuff. And could you mind sharing some of your history?
Yeah, I mean,
amazing history.
I've had an eclectic life. Let's put it that way.
You always come in so humble and unassuming.
I mean, I feel like. So I started, like I think most people. I saw my first Bruce Lee film at a store called Fedco or Gemco. It was one of those discount stores back in the day, when they first had VHS machines out. Mm-hmm. And I just heard this wah 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 wah. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I ran over there and I see Bruce Lee, and it was in Enter the Dragon. They had it playing, and it was the dungeon scene, where he was doing the nunchucks in the dungeon scene. And it's the first time that I'd ever seen.
How old are you at the time?
Probably 4.
4 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we had just moved here from Indonesia.
Wow.
So there's no way I was 5 because we were still there. So it would have been between 4 to 5. And so I saw it, and it just something hit me. Like, oh, this is it. This is my life. Like, something just triggered me to want to do this. And so I tried to hit the rewind button, but I didn't know how to operate it. And
at 4 years old.
Yeah, and it got fuzzy. And then, the lady yelled at me, and I ran away. And that moment stuck with me. And for years, I kept asking my parents, like, can I take martial arts? Can I take martial arts? And they kept saying no, because when I was in preschool, I got kicked out of preschool for fighting, like the first day. It was more of like a cultural shock. We just got here. I didn't speak the language, and it was a whole thing. And I don't know. I just lashed out and started punching kids. So I think my mom thought, well, I'm not going to give you more weapons.
What year was this?
71.
Yeah, so it was a different time too.
Yeah.
There weren't like too many kids training martial arts, right, at that time, or were there?
Not that I know of. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't.
It was like old school, like karate, like hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was asking all the way up until I was 10. I just kept asking, and she wouldn't. My parents just wouldn't budge, and my uncle would sneak me books, like remember those Ohara books?
Yeah.
So he would sneak me those books, and then Bruce Tenger judo books. And I would just like try to learn from the books. I would just like try to study. Oh, this is the judo flip. Oh, this is the Bruce Lee side kick to the leg. I would just try to study that, watch kung fu movies, and then I would audio record the kung fu movies. Black Belt Theater. Remember Black Belt Theater? So I thought that if I could audio record and listen to the kiais, that would somehow help me.
Sync your.
I was just desperate. I just wanted any information I can get. And then when I was 12, my parents moved around a lot because my dad's job, he just kept, climbing up the corporate ladder. And I was 12, we moved to Mission Viejo, Laguna Hills area.
Okay.
And so I didn't have any friends, and my mom's like, okay, you can start now. So I was like, oh, okay. So we looked around in the yellow pages. There was only 2 schools. There was a Shotokan school, and then there was like an American karate school.
Mm-hmm.
And so we visited both, and the American karate school, the head sensei, he mentioned Bruce Lee in just one sentence. He said something about Bruce Lee, and then that was like, I'm in, I'm done, I'm in, and it was a Kenpo studio. So it was like an American Kenpo system. So I started off with that and just got addicted to it and would train all the time, to the point that my parents forbade me from training too much, because they said, oh, you're training too much, you're not caring about school, you're not doing anything else, like this is not healthy, And so I would have to set my alarm. I remember setting my alarm to midnight so I can train at night from 12 to 1. I would train because my parents were asleep, you know.
Okay. Wow.
Or if
Wow.
if my mom went to the grocery store, then I'd clear out all the furniture and just like train as much as I could before she got back. You know, I was just really, really into it. And then as I got older, I started competing, and then you know, Jet Li.
When you became like a teenager.
Yeah, I started competing pretty early, like 12, 13.
Okay.
And then by the time I was, I don't know, I want to say 19 or 20, I had a falling out with my parents. So I was kind of by myself. I was going to school full time, trying to pay for my own school. I was working full time because I had a job that was paying for my school. I was teaching, you know, at our dojo in the evening. I was just spread out, like thin, not sleeping, not doing anything. And then I thought, you know, this is like not a fun life. I'm giving half-ass to everything, and I'm sucking at everything. You know, I was trying to do too many things, falling asleep at work, sucking at school, not training properly. And so I said, let me give it a go and do this martial arts thing and see where it goes.
Commit.
Yeah. So there was a national tournament that was in Irvine, so I could afford it because it was right around the corner. I went to the tournament, and Jet Li saw me there. And
Wow.
I got a call the next day from someone who said they were calling from Jet Li. You know, he says he's here in the States. I had no idea who the hell Jet Li was. Back then, no one knew, right? He was like, I'm calling on behalf of Leilan J, and he would like you to be a part of his stunt team. So I'm thinking it's one of my friends just fucking around
Messing
with
with
me.
you.
Like, this is the cruelest joke in the world, you know? And so I hung up on the guy. And then he called me back, and he's like, oh, we lost the connection. And he started talking. I realized it was the real deal. And I said, you know, what's this about? And I'll never forget. He's like, you know, it pays $200 a day in cash. You know, back then that was good money, you know? So I was like, okay, great. I'm all in. I don't know what this is, but I'm all in. So I did a couple films with Jet, and then that led to...
That's how it started.
Yeah, then that led to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I did the stunts for Donatello in part 2 and part 3. And then that led to Mortal Kombat, and then all of a sudden I was in the business. Like literally, it just kind of found me, and I fell into it, you know?
Because your parents probably wanted you to become a doctor or an attorney or something like that.
All the above, anything like that. Doctor, attorney, engineer.
And you're here training martial arts.
Yeah,
and
exactly. You know, my dad was a professor at the university in Indonesia. He escaped there to come to America to provide his kid with the best education that he could have.
Better
and I want to be
life.
Bruce Lee. You know, I throw that all away, and I want to be Bruce Lee. It's like so that was tough. The relationship was really difficult for a while.
When did they come around and see the potential?
When they came to visit.
Believe.
Well, in Ninja Turtles, I had a very bad injury, you know, a stunt accident where I almost lost my foot. It was a bad deal, and my parents.
You almost lost your foot?
Yeah, we were going up. It's the junkyard scene in The Secret of the Ooze for anyone out there who remembers that. But we were going up in this trapped net.
It's been a minute, right?
Yeah, and the cable snapped and I fell, and then the supporting beam landed on my foot, and the doctor said, "Hey, if you didn't have your costume on, it would have severed your foot in half."
Man.
And so, you know, it was a big deal. And the producers were just couldn't have been nicer about it. And they probably didn't want me to sue them or whatever. But, you know, they flew my parents in and everything. And I think at that point, my dad was like, "Oh, this is a career." And
You saw the set and all the people involved and the money behind it.
And they're taking care of you. They have respect for you, and you know it's like you're respected in this field, and there's a career. So you know it was big of him at that time, you know, to say that. It was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
How old are you at that time?
I don't know, 20 maybe.
Okay.
I was a baby.
Okay.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
All from the tournament, showing up for the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know who's watching, you know?
Yeah.
You never know.
Were there any moments that you were thinking like, man, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should be going to school?
No. There wasn't, because I always enjoyed it. And even when I got hurt, I just refused, you know, I'm like, oh, it's just I remember when the accident happened, I kept telling myself, it's a sprained ankle. it's a sprained ankle. My foot was completely crushed. Like there was the bones were completely separated, so that I had a gap between my bones were basically just dangling. My feet were just dangling, my toes. And so I just kept telling myself, no, it's a sprained ankle, sprained ankle.
Like Jackie Chan, all those injuries, like how do you bounce back from those things?
I mean, I was younger, so you don't think about it. I've been under the knife for accidents at least 10 times, you know. And it's like I have a really pleasant experience with hospitals. Most people don't like hospitals, but to me, I go to a hospital and they heal me. I come out and I'm fine. So
Okay,
I always
good.
I don't know if that's the right mentality, but I always feel like, oh, I can be fixed. They can fix me. They can fix me.
Wow. And like what, like and so like going through, you have your career. When did the UFC came out? Probably like maybe like 10 years after.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah.
The Mortal Kombat and.
Yeah, or maybe when is UFC? Was in early 90s?
Early 90s,
So
yeah,
right
93, 94.
Right around there, I guess. Right around there. Yeah.
What was your first impression with seeing Hoist Gracie do that jiu-jitsu stuff? I mean, it's all Bruce Lee too, right? He's doing in his movies.
Yeah, no, I mean, seeing that that was like, how many years ago was that now? 20, 30 years? But that moment was the moment that made me put my kids into jiu-jitsu. Now, because I've had the pleasure of being able to train with so many different people, especially in the stunt world, right? You meet so many different people, so many different specialists. So, if I got to kick with the Olympic Taekwondo team, I got to do this with that. It's like so many different people you get to work with. And so when we knew we were pregnant with twins, I kept wrestling. Like my biggest thing was like, what do I do with my kids? Like, what are they going to train in? What if they don't like martial arts? What's going to happen? I was like stressing out about all that, and I didn't know, like, well, do I put them in like a traditional karate thing? But then it's like, I wouldn't want them to do that for too long, just in the beginning to get the basics and the fundamentals and the discipline and all that. I wasn't sure what to do. So I thought, well, let me go back, and if I were to train myself with the knowledge that I have now, how would I train myself? What would I do? So that was my approach. It's like, give them all the fundamentals of how I would have wanted to be trained, now knowing everything I know.
All your experience.
Yeah. And for me, it's like the fundamentals have to be grappling first, because in striking, you can't practice that as a kid. I mean, you can practice the basics, but you can't jump in the water and actually punch each other.
Brain damage.
Yeah, you can't.
Concussions.
Break each other's legs, but in grappling, it's like you can go 100.
100%, yeah.
You can go 100, and then your buddy's the next moment, and you can do it again.
Yeah.
So that's why, even though I'm a striker and striking has always been my passion, will always be my passion, I wanted to put them in grappling first and then start slowly working the striking, and if they wanted to, and kind of meld it together.
I was reading about some of your kicks. Was it was like was it 540 something?
Yeah.
Is it some kind of certain kicks that you're known for?
Yeah, I don't. Some people give me the credit for that. I refuse to take the credit for that. But yeah, I mean, back then I loved to kick when my knees were good, So I always experimented with different kicks and try to mix in the acrobatics with kicks, and then it became an art form. Now it's called tricking.
Tricking. Yeah, that's it.
Where people do that, but. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. It was more like you do functional kicks, and then like, oh, let me try this and let me try that, But it's evolved into a whole different sport, which I admire and also dislike, at the same time.
So, can you explain what tricking is?
Tricking is like a form of gymnastics, but with kicks and twist. It's like acrobatic gymnastics. It's doing things that look like you should be on a wire, but you're not.
And then combined with tricking for martial arts, is that the tricking?
Yeah, it's martial art. I mean, like I said, it's changed quite a bit, because back when tricking first started, it was martial artists who had a martial arts base, and then they would incorporate tricking, into their training, into their moves or whatever. And then tricking became such a big event in itself that in order to master that, you just focus on the tricking and not just the martial arts. So for me, unfortunately, a lot of the trickers now aren't necessarily martial artists. It's more of like a gymnastics thing, and they're throwing kind of kicks, but would they actually be able to throw a kick? I don't know, you know?
Yeah. What are the things? Some of the things that is that what because they're not martial artists. Is that what you? Because you said it's kind of changed a lot over the years.
Yeah, for me, I think it loses a lot of the art form. A lot of the functionality of martial arts, of self defense, and all that. Which I think you can have both. You can be a showman and you can have self defense. But I think now it's going to just like the showmanship area, and straying away from the practical aspects of the martial part of the art, and it's just become an art.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's an old guy talking. I think every generation of old karate guys will say the same thing.
Man, and when you were talking about learning from books and learning from, magazines, publications, right?
Yeah.
It brings me back to before cell phones, before YouTube, right? How you're saying, your boys, they learn how to play piano from YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But just how everything was much slower, and now everything's just a lot faster. You can learn a lot faster with just the information everywhere.
Yeah, we were looking at still photographs, right? And you're trying to figure out, like, how do they get into that position from this still photograph? And you're trying to read between the lines, but it was, then it was just the experimental phase of, like, getting a partner and trying to figure it out on your own.
When I was first starting jiu-jitsu, there was, like, Grappling Magazine, which was, like, a part of Black Belt Magazine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you would get your information, right, your news and things like that from there.
Yeah.
And then they had that Panther. Remember?
Panther Productions,
Panther
absolutely,
Productions, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had a few videos, VHS tapes with jiu-jitsu in it.
Yeah. Who are in those?
Man, there was a guy Kazeka who I ended up becoming friends with later on. But Panther, everybody was in it, and then there was some different ones that shot up. Mari Sperry did some early tapes. There was, I forgot the guy's name.
That was all in Oceanside. I think the guy was in the.
Was it?
The guy was an Ishinru guy.
Okay.
Who started that? Yeah.
Yeah, but then he started doing adding jiu-jitsu in there, and then people were able to access the things.
Yeah.
Because before that it was all Gracie, Horny Gracie, right?
Right.
Gracie Academy.
Yeah.
Where you got the jiu-jitsu.
No, that's where it started for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
And then the tournaments, like you can record, everything was secretive. I don't know if that was that the same back in the days.
I think back in the day for all martial arts, starting with the old karate dojo wars, right? You held on to your secrets. You didn't share it. I think even the head instructor wouldn't share things with their top students because of whatever reason, threatened by it or whatever. And now you can get world championship, instructionals on YouTube.
You watch live, right? In the gym before it's even in the tournaments.
Yeah.
Or you see the latest. You see the all the tournaments live, like in Abu Dhabi or wherever, and you can watch them live.
Yeah.
And whereas before you had to like find a guy who had VHS tapes, and you'd buy them off. You'd follow him to his car. You would buy some tapes, and you'd bring it back, and you replay it, right?
Right. With the line by the with the third 10th generation, it's like hard to see.
And to try to learn the techniques,
That's why the level is just, for everything, not just martial arts, but I think everything, the level is just increasing because the information is so out there.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciate, like your approach, you don't put pressure on your boys. It's all, you want them to love it, And just from tournaments, they compete so much. You put them in all these different things. And there's never it's like super dad,
I appreciate that. I think, going back to like how would I train myself, and I look back and like, well, where did I go wrong? Like what would I have improved about myself? And I was a bad loser. And I feel like sometimes that works, right? Because you refuse to lose. So you just keep going. But I feel like that could also go very bad, because you can become deflated and lose your interest. So for me, I felt that the number one lesson for them to learn, other than the obvious of humility and respect, is to embrace losing, is to really embrace losing. And so with us, my face usually in a tournament is I have the same reaction when they win or lose. Sometimes I even am happier when they lose, you know, and I let them know, and I genuinely feel that, and we'll celebrate exactly the same. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, what's one tournament in Azusa? You know,
Doesn't
it
change
means
anything.
nothing. It means nothing. But if your attitude about, hey, I lost that tournament, but this is what I learned, and genuinely,
Learned, yeah.
this is what I learned, then that's life altering. Those are tools for the rest of your life that you'll maintain.
Yeah,
You know?
that's the attitude, right? Because
Yeah.
we're always you're always learning.
Yeah.
Why get down on learning?
Yeah, and you don't. As humans, we have a tendency not to learn as much when we win, because we're checking out our highlight tapes. Like, oh, look what I did! I kicked ass here, and that's it. You're not looking at the moment where maybe you could have lost because you made a mistake, and you're not worried about that because the mistake it didn't have repercussions. You know, so for us, I think when you lose, it's like that's when you take the moments to do that. And even when we win, we go through the tapes and like,
And you go back and
yeah,
study.
we go back. This is what you did great, but let's find out how we can do better. You know, just to always strive for perfection, no matter what, win or lose, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Like Sarah, she competed this last weekend, and she does. You know, I mean, I feel for her too. You know, but she had a phenomenal yellow belt run. This you know, she had like won a lot of things. But she kind of really got stuck on the armbar submission, you know, like just to, you know, and she always had it, you know, but to evolve the game, always keep pushing, try to evolve your game, learn, right? Not
Yeah.
just worry about focus on winning, but evolving your game for the big picture.
Right.
Right. And so she lost this weekend, and it was good for her. You know, it was good. It's like, because now she's like, okay, I have to do that, you know? So we came in yesterday and drilled techniques, different things.
and
Right.
you may not have done that with the win.
Because it started the last tournament. She won, but again, the person was already defending the armbar and stuff. But I was like, and so she got away with it. So she wasn't so open to changing.
Right.
And now because of the loss, you know, because she was, you know, it went back and forth, but then she ended up losing the third match. You know.
Yeah.
But it was as a blessing in disguise for the big picture.
Always.
And like a loss is like a win for the big picture, and that's what you want.
Right.
They're kids, right? You
Yeah.
want them to like
Yeah.
reach their potential.
I mean, what's a metal? It's literally a piece of metal, you know. Metal is metal. That's it, you know.
It's so funny how we all get caught up in those things, you know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
What
at
matters
all.
is you're learning.
You're learning, and that you have the balls to go out there and try.
Yeah,
And
courage.
and put yourself out there, you know. So for me, that's why I always encourage them to try different sports. You know, you want to compete in judo? Yeah. Hey, it's an instant level check. You know, see how you do in judo. See how you do this. See how you doing that. You know.
So what do you have your boys? You have judo tournaments now. You know, this just started this
Yeah.
like a few months ago, right? You had them doing wrestling. You have them. I mean, you work with them on the striking.
Capoeira.
Capoeira, right, over the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so going back to like my thought process of when they were first born and thinking what martial arts to do, and it's like, okay, we're going to start with grappling. And then after that, you know, I started thinking, well, there's kids that speak multiple languages. Many kids that speak multiple languages, and maybe it's a little confusing in the beginning, but when it clicks, they're fluent in everything.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a wild experiment where it's like, okay, let's introduce them to different martial arts styles. And if they like it, then let them train those styles purely. So not in an MMA fashion where you get a little bit of boxing, a little bit of kicking, you know, but pure, and see what happens if they like it. And so we started with capoeira through Zoom.
During the pandemic.
During the pandemic through Zoom for fun, you know, just take a class for fun. Now it's been about 2 years, and they train twice a week, you know, for an hour. They get up early, 7 to 8 o'clock to train in the morning before school. So they do that, you know, and then judo
Before school.
because during the pandemic, it was like we were starting at 9.
Yeah, okay.
And then when school started, it was like, hey guys, we don't have time to do this. And they would not give it up. And I said, let's go down to 1 day a week. And they're like, no, we got to train 2 days a week. I'm like, okay, but that means you got to do it before school. They're like, okay, fine. I'm like, all right. So now they train.
They want it.
Yeah, they want it. So they do the capoeira, and that's probably one of the best conditioning for them, you know, exercises. Then obviously we do jiu-jitsu here in judo with Ron, and then wrestling, and then they're starting to like the striking a little bit more. So I'm working more with them on the striking now, and then, you know, putting it all together with you and doing the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
the youth MMA,
yeah.
right?
But it was important for me to not ever be their primary coach, because I feel like that coach dad situation, I've seen it go bad so many times, you know? So I think it's you have to have other people involved, you know, as messengers.
Yeah.
You can whisper in their ear.
Yeah.
But I think that's really, really important, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you got them on all kinds of, I mean, you're the real master with your social media machine. I'm like, man, it's so good, from the audio to the videos. I'm like, man, it's like a constant highlight reel of life, you know?
Yeah. We just have fun. We have fun with
That's
that.
it. I mean, that's what it seems like, you know? Just like you're having a blast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, social media is, at first I was never really, like, even my own social media, I don't really post that much, you know? But for them, it was just like so much fun content. And so the more I post, and I'm realizing, like, oh gosh, doors are actually opening up off of Instagram. Like, doors are opening up off of Instagram. So it's like, okay, let's keep it going and see where this takes us, you know?
Yeah, you've been going out to New York and training with the Meow Brothers, right?
Yeah.
And
training with the Meows and with Jeff Chan and New York Martial Arts Academy. They're gonna be on America's Got Talent next year.
Wow.
So that just came up. They booked a lot of jobs, you know, where people see them from Instagram. So it's actually like opened up.
Modeling it's H&M and a bunch of different companies.
TV shows, you know,
they had the Snoop Dogg, the Kevin Hart Olympics. They run the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah, entertainment's a whole other thing. You know, that's something that I make a point not to take it seriously with them, because I think that's a crazy business. You know, entertainment is a crazy business that it's like could be poison. So for me, if it's there and it's easy, we'll take it. We don't take it seriously at all. It's a blessing if it happens. It could be your last job. It's just a wonderful opportunity. Sock a little money away in the bank, and that's it. You know,
that's a great attitude.
Just have fun. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about keeping things fun, because if it's not fun,
staying humble, right?
Yeah. Because if it's not fun and you take, I mean, you know, you've seen a million stories of people who take themselves too seriously. Yeah. They burn out really fast. Yeah. Could be the most talented person in the world. The guy who works harder and enjoys what they're doing is going to surpass them at the end of the day. Yeah. You know, so.
Because you'll keep doing it.
Yeah. So I'm in no hurry. Yeah. I mean, if anything, I try to actually slow the roll. I slow it down, because I feel like that if you, as humans, we always try to go to higher level, and just take working out, for example, right? You work out to exhaustion, right? You're going to work out until you can't work out anymore. You're tired, and then you're done. Like, I did it. But if you do that with kids, with their goals, at a certain point, they're going to burn out, right? You keep going to the next level. Oh, this is great. I want more, Dad. Okay, let's train 3 days a week. Great. I want more, Dad. Let's train 5 days a week. Oh, great. Let's do more. Oh, you can handle more. Let's train twice a day for 7 days a week. At some point, and you don't know at what point it is, but at some point they're gonna lose it, and everything's gonna crumble. You know, so for me, it's like you keep that foundation, and if you want to train for, like, if I feel that they're capable of training 7 days a week, then we're gonna train 5 to 6 days a week. You know, if they want to train 3 times a day, then we're going to train 1 to 2 times a day. So there's always something more that they're striving for.
You're living proof of things I tell, like, parents, you know, because, you know, I mean, you're an example, right? But, like, being consistent is the key, and less is more. Yeah. And so, yeah, how you're going to get really good is by being consistent over a long time.
And not worry about the big events, you know. Yeah. Everyone's so damn worried about the big tournaments or the big this or when's my next belt promotion or that.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't, the landmarks will create themselves. You don't have to look for the landmarks. Like, I need to do this. I need to do this. They'll create themselves and they'll become their own landmarks. You know?
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Focus on the journey. Doing your best.
Yeah, process, right?
The process.
I mean, it's all martial arts. It's all martial arts, right? There's nothing that happens on the mat that doesn't happen in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to follow those steps, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
That's
a
what
lot
the
of
magic
parents,
is.
a lot of parents make too many. Of course, we make the decisions for our children, but if you don't include them in those decisions, it's not going to last long.
Like you just asked them. I was like, do you want to have them come on? And you ask them. You ask them.
Yeah.
You always ask them.
Yeah, it's up to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than the basics of, you know, you got to take a shower, you got to eat this, you got to do that. You
Brush your teeth.
Yeah. But, you know, I give them a lot of free rope,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and if they continue to prove themselves with that, it's fine. And if there's an issue, then okay, we'll reel it back in.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you've proven yourself, okay, we'll let it loose. You know, I don't guide them when they need to do their homework. It's like, you have your options. Just get it done. Get it done and get it done. That's it. So you want to do it today, you want to do it tomorrow, you want to do it tonight. Manage your own schedule. Figure it out. Because those are the actual tools that you'll be using as an adult. I'm not going to be there forever. There's not going to be someone telling them what to do when they're 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So they need to do that for themselves.
Yeah. What, you know, like you drive, you spend, you know, you dedicate every day. Do they go to regular school or are they homeschooled?
They go to regular school. During
Okay.
the pandemic, we kind of did our own thing.
Right.
But they missed their friends, and I feel like
my girls.
yeah, you know, at this age, they need to be around their friends.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't get too weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Become the weird twins. But, you know, but we drive. We live in West Hollywood, so to come here, it takes like 30 to 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But we're here because it's the best program, you know, for many reasons. But I'm driving up, I was thinking of like why? Because people ask me all the time. You know, there's probably 10 gyms, 10 academies within 3 miles of our house.
Mm-hmm.
Great academies, all great academies, right? I mean, literally, like some we could walk to. But the reason we're here is you guys have something really very unique that you've created coming from you. And it's that competition kids and casual kids, it's an academy for both of them. Because you go to some academies and it caters just for casual kids more, you know? So it's like it helps them, but they may not be learning the technique. They may not be, maybe they're promoted a little bit sooner than most kids. Maybe they don't compete. You know, it's just they're learning things, but it's not at a high level. And then there's other schools where it's competition kids, and it's a very high level. But then if you're a casual kid, you're overlooked. Maybe you don't feel as special. You know, you feel second class, and I don't think that's healthy for either of those kids. It's not healthy for the competition kid to think that they're way better than this kid. It's not better for the casual kid to think like, oh, I'll never reach that. But you have a rare community where you cater to both, and it works for both. So, and a big part of it is, I really believe this, is like when kids do well at tournaments, and it's great. You know, you talk about it, you do a little post or whatever, but the kids don't come in with their medals. And you don't like, look, so-and-so won first, he smashed, you know?
Yeah.
And only talk about the person who won first and not talk about the kid who tried and didn't place at all, you know? And it's like, okay, great. Hey, they did great. Okay, move on. Here's class. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's the environment that I want for my kids.
Because it's the process, right?
Yeah.
It's the process.
Because you value
showing
the process, and everyone on the mat is equal.
That's it.
You can compete. You can be a traveler and go to Florida to compete, or you could not have any desires to compete, but every kid on the mat is treated equally. That's what I love about this place. And it caters to both. So if you want to compete, you're going to get the knowledge. You will get the extra technique. If you don't want that extra technique, it's cool. Then you're going to get the basics, you know, but it works for everyone and everyone can be in the same room. And the coaches do a great job of like matching kids up, of putting the comp kids together with just the comp kids to learn certain techniques, but then mixing up all the kids, you know, so everyone can work together. I think
Get better,
it's amazing.
Thank you.
And that's why we drive here, you know, and also a big point of why we're here is because I said, oh, damn, they have Muay Thai. So not that the kids are doing Muay Thai, but to me, it showed like you have a very open mind about striking. You're not a grappling guy that doesn't believe in striking or a striking guy that doesn't believe in grappling. It's like, you know, come on, you need both, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
You have to have both.
Yeah, you want to be a martial artist, you need to do both.
Yeah, you need to learn
A complete
everything.
martial artist, yeah.
And that's the fun of it,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
Because then you
That's it.
apply grappling stuff to stand up, and you apply stand up footwork to grappling, and
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You know, work really hard, and we try our best. You know, to have like a complete
well, you have
martial
judo,
arts.
you have capoeira.
Judo, yeah, and that's it.
I mean, I don't know of anyone else that does that.
Yeah,
You know, I really don't. I really don't.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really blessed because I come from a really good school from Dracolino, and he kind of set that environment. You know, like top competitors, top guys, but everybody's the same.
Yeah.
Everybody's the same.
Well, that's
And it brings brings everybody up.
it brings the level for everyone up.
And
it's
the
just-
guys, they don't get big headed, right?
it's the community, you know. It's the community. I mean, I joke about it with my kids, you know, because when I used to go to tournaments, I think I don't know, you go to like what 50 to 100 tournaments, you know, as as a kid to young adult. My parents went to one, and you know I would get rides, and sometimes at that time I felt like, well, why are all these other parents here, and they're like, you know, they're going to ice cream with their kids after they win and whatever, and I go home and my dad's like, you know, mow the lawn, you know. But I'll tell you what, I appreciate that now because they didn't hold me on this high pedestal, and if I failed or if I won, it really didn't matter to them. And so, you know, I think those were good lessons. I think those are really good lessons, and it's similar vibe here, where it doesn't matter how you do in the tournament. The coaches don't make a big deal of it the next day. You know, they don't parade you around. It's like, look at these gold medals, yeah, you know.
Martial arts, like I feel like as a tool, right? It just brings out the best in you, creates like these character skills, right? Character development, right? And I feel like that's like the biggest from all the years of me teaching and doing it. Do you feel the same? Like that's the biggest thing, not the medals, not the, you know, but all the experiences, but the character develops in you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. It becomes you.
Right.
Right, like you are a martial artist, whether you're even actively training or not. I mean, I know a lot of people who've trained maybe in their, you know, young adult lives, you know, child to young adult lives, and then they're no longer training for whatever reason, life, injuries, interests, whatever, right? But they still have that martial arts mentality. I think that will never go away. And that goes to all aspects of your life. And I think you learn way more on the mats than you will at any university. I'm sorry, but
You've heard that Renzo Gracie quote, right? There's more wisdom on the mats than any Ivy League university.
that's so true. It's 100% true. You know, you learn everything.
Wisdom and knowledge, yeah.
Yeah,
on the mats.
everything, because it's about life. It's about your character. You know, it's how you live, the choices that you make.
The choices you make.
You know, the choices you make. I mean, especially these days, it's so critical.
Yeah.
It's so critical. You know, it's so easy for kids to just make that one wrong decision and then you're dead.
Looking back when you were growing up, what are some of the things that martial arts gave you for confidence and helped you, you know, those decisions you're talking about, make the right decisions or make better decisions?
I think one is it's the mindset of chasing perfection. You know, I think that's a big one because, as you know, you never get anything perfect, right? It's never possible as much as you keep doing it. And I mean, how many? You're still learning, right? You're still learning.
I hope I never stop. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
That's it.
think it's the, it's going back to the Zen, the empty cup, the white belt thinking. Where as a right, like back in the day, you have a white belt, and then the belt gets dirty, and it gets so dirty that it becomes a black belt, and that's how you're like, oh, you're a master because you have a dirty black belt. But then in time, the belt starts to fray and fray and fray, and then it becomes white again, and you have that mindset. So I think it's the chasing of perfection and keeping the open mind, because martial arts, as you train, you're going to learn the humility, because there's always somebody that's better than you at some point. You're always going to get beat somewhere down the line. You know what I mean?
So good for the ego.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's always a check. And I think it's having that open mind of being open to new things, open to new ideas, and not necessarily that you're going to accept everything that comes to you, but that you will take everything in, and for me, that's the true martial arts mindset.
Yeah. That's
Empty cup, just keep your cup empty all the time.
It's beautiful. That's it. I was gonna ask you what I always ask like a lot of old school jiu-jitsu guys, and I talk to them like, what are some of the biggest, or what's the biggest, one of the big things that martial arts has given you? They always talk about the relationships and friendships. Jiu-jitsu people.
Yeah.
You had a little different path.
Yeah.
Than that. So I'm just curious on. And you talk about the martial arts way, right?
Yeah.
Just now.
I think for me, it's a mindset.
The mindset
On how I approach everything in life, my career, my friendships, fatherhood, my marriage. It's a martial art mindset. It really is, and I think through that, then you attract like-minded people, from different arts, from different communities, and I don't think I would have that without ever training, ever.
Do you have any brothers, sisters?
I have a sister. Yeah, she's a writer in Washington D.C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And your parents, they
My father passed 4 years ago.
I'm sorry.
My mother's here in Orange County.
How did they feel as you got older with the martial arts way of life?
I think they just, there was like I said, there was a bit of conflict,
When
in
you're
the
younger.
beginning, but I think like shortly after Ninja Turtles, so that was, in the 90s, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just, it's me,
And they always, it's about doing a good job, doing your work.
Yeah.
Don't get big headed.
Yeah. And then they see now with my kids, it's like it's working. The mindset is working for them, and that's a big part of it for me too, is to hand down that mindset, is to make it obvious. Cause I think that's a difference with the different arts. And that's really what I wrestled with in the beginning in what to start them in. Because I feel like if you take an art like let's say Taekwondo or something like that, or a traditional karate class, for a traditional Taekwondo or traditional karate class, you'll go there and the lessons, the spiritual lessons that you will learn are made very obvious, where they will say, memorize this mantra, say it, you're here to learn, character over kicks. Like, it's very clean cut in why you're here, not just to kick, but you have to do this, and this is the philosophy, and you memorize all the tenets of it. So I like it for that. I don't like it for other reasons, but I like it for that. With jiu-jitsu, you don't really have that. It's a little more casual, and it's like the lessons are there, but you kind of have to find them on your own, or you have a good coach who's going to verbalize them to you. So for me, I try to verbalize those lessons to them and make it more obvious so they understand. So, at the end of a class, it's like, oh, okay, so in this class, what happened? Why were you crying? What happened? And then we talk about it. So to me, it's really about trying to make the lessons obvious, so it's nothing, so they don't have to train for 20 years and like, oh, now I got it,
Yeah.
It's like, give it to them now and make it clear of why we're doing this,
Reflect on it.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
I actually make them do a contract every year.
Contract.
Yeah, we have a contract. So it started when they were they're
They're nodding their heads. Yeah.
It started when they were 5, right? So when they're
5 years old.
yeah. So I tricked them a little bit. So what I did was I didn't start them in martial arts. Because I figured when you're a kid and you're just learning how to walk and talk and learn coordination, that the first thing you're going to do, you're going to suck at, most likely, right? Maybe there's 1 or 2% that are going to be great at it and love it, but most likely you're going to suck at it, and then you're not going to like it. So I'm like, that's not going to be martial arts. You're going to start in gymnastics. So start in gymnastics. I sent them to a Russian school. They cried every class. They hated it. They cried
nodding their heads.
every class. What did the coach call you? Chicken boy. The coach was calling him chicken boys.
Old school Russian.
Yeah. Like he was calling him chicken boys. And I was like, on the low key, like, keep going. I like this guy. He's being the guy that I want them to be around, but I don't want it to be me, So they kept going until mom took them and said, no way, we're out of here. This guy's out of his mind. But so we started them in that. And then I would take them to the boxing gym with me just to watch me work out. And then slowly we would play games, in the ring. Just games like tag or whatever. And then when they asked me if they could train, I'd say, not yet. Not yet. You're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. And so I kept holding it. And I guess now talking back, right, we're going through therapy. It's the same thing that my parents did to me unknowingly, wanting me to really, really, really want it. So then when it became available to me, it was like, I'm going to jump into this. So then when they were about 5 and they said they wanted to train, I said, okay, so here's the deal. You have 2 choices. You have to make this decision now. You can change your mind later, but you make this decision, it's going to be for a year. So the decision is, do you want to learn casually or do you want to be a ninja? You want to be a pro or do you want to be a casual?
And you see their eyes light up with big smiles on their face, nodding their heads when you're saying this.
So, and I told them what that meant. Being a casual means we're going to have fun. You're going to do it like 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week. I won't drill with you unless you want me to. And that's it. You want to be a ninja? I'm going to be on you. I'm going to correct every little mistake. We're still going to have fun, but then you're going to have to train 5 days a week. And they're like, no, we want to go this route. And so every year, like around this time, we're due, beginning of the year, we have a verbal contract. Like, let's renew it. What do you want to do this year? And it's up to them. And if they said, I don't want to renew it, then we'll talk about it. Okay, so what do you want to take out? You want to take something out? What do you want to do? Genuinely, I feel like I've already done my job. I feel like that if they stopped martial arts today, they'd be able to defend themselves for the rest of their lives. Like, they're fine. They're more than fine. So to me, I did my job. Now it's up to them how far they want to take it. So we have that verbal contract.
It's beautiful.
And sometimes it goes twice a year.
Twice a year.
Sometimes. So like after COVID, we had to renew that contract because I was getting scared. Because after COVID, now we're going back to school, but they wanted to keep the capoeira. They wanted to do more things. So I was like, okay, but now you're changing the contract because from jiu-jitsu and wrestling, now we're going jiu-jitsu, wrestling, capoeira, and now you want to strike. That's going to require a lot more time and commitment from you. So do you want to lose one of those? Do you want to drop back on something? Do you want to stop? What do you want to do? So, we just keep it going.
What does mom think about the commitment?
Mom is so awesome because she stays out of it. She trusts me. Yeah. She completely supports everything they do as far as working out because mom is a crazy worker outer, She's like, by 6:30, the bed is made, whether you're sleeping in it or not. Breakfast is on the table, so she's in the gym, you know what I mean? So mom really, really appreciates the physical part of it. As far as the contact stuff, we definitely hold that back from her. She doesn't know. They're about to do an MMA tournament. She has no idea, but...
You take care. You take care.
Yeah, I don't think like...
It is martial arts, but, you do your best to...
She wouldn't be good at a tournament, let's put it that way.
It's normal. That's normal.
She would be that mom, you know. She'd be that mom. She'd be screaming at every little kid. "Ah!" She'd be that wrestling mom. So it's like she knows that. So we're like, you know what? It's cool. Yeah. But mom loves it. Mom loves it.
Great.
I mean, she's not a martial artist, but she's definitely a Zen warrior. You know.
It's awesome. Well, man, thank you so much for your example, your dedication. Super inspiring. Just your humility and just it's such a big honor and pleasure to see your boys, you know, almost every day.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Every week, you know, and getting to talk to you and yeah, I'm looking forward to everything that's everything in the future, you know, reaching that potential.
The feeling is very mutual, you know. Let me go back one more thing. I want to give you another compliment. Another reason why we came here is when we first came here, I saw you sitting. We took two kids classes, you know, as a trial, and I saw you sitting down watching the kids classes, and then I just watched you as like new people came in and how you interacted with them, and like you would introduce yourself to like a complete stranger, and like, oh, come on in, and you welcome them to your home, and then you were like genuinely watching the kids classes and keeping tabs, and I'm like, wow, this guy really cares.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very rare to have the head instructor at the school at all, let alone watch a kids class, let alone introduce himself to new people. So for me, like, that's the culture. This is what I want for my kids. You know, that's why we're here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.